David Doyle is my name. I'm Director of Personalised Customer Experience at Lufthansa Group, and one of the leads of the SMILE program. The SMILE program is our personalisation program, one of the cornerstones of the digitalisation transformation here within the Lufthansa Group for our hub airlines, which we call Swiss, Austrian and Lufthansa. And we support a number of projects that are taking place in terms of renewing all of our digital touch points, but also by using the customer data to provide a more relevant customer experience, digital and non-digital. That is being driven through two things. One is the entire digitalization. The new touch points are demanding a level of personalization to come forward. They need data to fill content, to decide which content to play. But our customers are demanding that. The customers are demanding that not because of what British Airways are doing, not because of what Air Berlin is doing, but because of the digital experience that they have elsewhere. The questions are coming to us, the customer wants more real-time information. They want to be able to solve problems themselves via their devices. But also they want to be able to check in, check out very, very quickly. And that is part of what we're putting in place, both the infrastructure, but also the understanding of the customer that needs to sit with that. So we're using a multitude of different customer data points. We're using a lot of market research, which we've always done, but we're matching that really deeply with ethnographic research. But also our customers are leaving a lot of data around us. For a long, long time, for decades, aviation has been a very digital industry. Through the GDS, the travel agencies, check-in, all of our airports, all of our systems have been connected. But we never used that data to understand about how our customers were actually behaving. When they were here, what they wanted, what they were doing, a lot of that just flowed out of our systems. Today, we're collecting that, we're learning a lot more about the way the customer is behaving. My colleagues presented earlier at the forum how we're using some of that data, how we're tying those points together. And when you start to connect those dots, you see how the customer behaves. And when you connect that with the data that the customer then allows us to use, when we have a permission, and you say, he belongs to this, it looks like that, you can then start to behave much more like an e-commerce platform. You can start to provide them with that experience that they're learning from all of the other platforms. We've brought two use cases with us today, which I just wanted to talk you through. The first is a really interesting one. It's a prototype that we're running in Munich, where we're using a combination of 4 or 5 different sensors around the customer to understand the context, to understand the customer themselves. So we've fitted out about 200 Bluetooth beacons in the terminal in Munich. When the customer comes through, or the passenger comes through security, the Bluetooth beacons then ping the Lufthansa app. The app then, the decisioning within the app looks at the boarding pass, makes a decision how much time does the customer have before departure. If it's more than about 65 minutes, which we've calculated, and he looks and sees, does the customer have access to our lounge? Is he a status customer? Does he have that in his business class package? And then when he says he has enough time and he doesn't have it in his thing, the app then communicates back to the SMILE engine, our big data engine, where we then look at what segment does this customer belong to. It might look in his Miles & More profile and see, does he have an affinity for this product? Based on that affinity score, we also then contact the lounge system. So the sensors in the lounge which tell us how much space there is, how busy is it, which is really important on days like today where that lounge is probably quite full because of the snowstorm. So we use all of that information that we get from our sensors. Where is the customer? Has he got it? And then in that case, the Bluetooth beacon, if it's all successful, the Bluetooth beacon then sends a signal to the app and the customer gets then an offer for the business lounge. €25, can open it up and then take that voucher into the lounge, get access to it. And we're seeing a real strong uptake on that, particularly in Munich, where we're seeing a lot of transfer customers using that product where they didn't have that previously. So it's again taking something that we have available, using information around it to make sure that the communication of it is really relevant and context-based. Not just enough to know something about the customer, but also to know where are they and how much time they might have. We've played around with the price ourselves just to find the right price point for that. We did some specials last year to look at that price point. Demand-based pricing is not something we have at the moment. It is something that some other platforms do offer. It's not really to test whether lounge is an attractive product. It's more to see, can we do context-based information and context-based messaging in the airport? Because there's a lot of problems the customer has that we want to solve with that. If we know where the customer is, if we know how much time he has, we know what he wants, we can then address those needs with personalized information and real-time information. It's more about how do we get real-time information right onto your device, in your hand at the right point in time based on what we know exactly at that time. The first here is Klaus Hartmann, a fictional character, but it's a genuine profile. he's a pure leisure customer. He flies very regularly with us on his annual holidays. So his homepage looks much more like a travel brochure. He comes to Lufthansa.com looking for inspiration for his destination. It's about, are you interested in Corsica? It's price-based marketing. Yeah, Corsica. We have also Crete. And down here, it's much more around, building up a trip for him. It's about what products can we offer him in this case. Because we know he's got a low lifetime value, he doesn't fly very often with us, and generally it's only that one trip. So it's very much a leisure focused business. In contrast to that, we have our frequent traveler, in this case a customer from Beijing who flies to Lagos in Nigeria regularly over via Frankfurt. In this case, high lifetime value, frequent traveler with us, in miles and more. And what we see here is his Lufthansa.com looks much more like a planning tool. It's again about, do you want to go back to Lagos? His future bookings are here. Some things that what's his next best action? I want to check in for this flight in 10 days. I want to check on that kind of information. In this case, he has his miles and more profile. He's logged in there. But for the leisure customer, we're rolling out an ID which will allow them all the benefits that our frequent flyers have on our digital portals. That ID will allow them, simple sign-on like an Apple ID or an Amazon ID, email address and password, will allow them to connect their experiences over different devices. It will allow them, because we recognize that the customer doesn't search and buy in one go. They search, they refine, they come back. We're looking at that through the data that we've seen and seeing, right, how do we create a multi-device experience? And the ID will allow the customer to do that, and will also allow us to build up information about them so that we can simplify all of those booking processes or check-in processes for them. And that will underpin the way a lot of those digital experiences run in the future. As a German company, we follow German privacy laws, German Datenschutz, which are some of the most strict worldwide. And that as a German company, we have to follow that information. You can start to see in their search behavior how they're behaving and what you can actually do with that.